Hey, what's up, good people? How you doing? Welcome to Stock Up with Larry Jones. We're just going to get right into some things, and we're going to talk about XRP, of course. XRP, the most over hyped, the most over talked about crypto this cycle. There's always one that is over talked and overhyped every single cycle. This is not anything different, but I got some huge good news for XRP. That is real good news. Okay. Those of you that have been listening to me for a while, you know I've been talking about stable coins for 2 years. For 2 years. I've been talking about back when Janet Yellen was yelling, all right? And I kept saying they are going to they're going to pass a stable coin bill first. And that's when there's going to be a major shift in crypto. I've been saying that for 2 years. And here's why it's important, not just because I said it. I want you guys to look at this. Ripple applies for federal bank trust charter. XRP jumped 3%. The applications follow stablecoin issuer Circle, similar effort to expand crypto services and move into federal regulatory oversight. Okay. It's all about the stable coin, good people. Ripple has applied for a national banking license from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, aimed to expand its crypto service under federal regulation, the WSJ reported, right? The company application follows a similar move by Circle. You guys know Circle has been mooning, and every other stablecoin company has been absolutely mooning, indicating a trend among stablecoin issuers seeking federal oversight amidst advancing U.S. legislation. Okay, so the power behind XRP, which is Ripple, is in the stable coin. But here's what I also want to show you. Just because they apply does not mean they're going to get it. One of the biggest banks in the U.S. is JP Morgan. You know, the CEO that said this.
We pretty much always have some crypto conversation with you. I'm just curious because I don't think we've talked to you since.
I think all that's been a waste of time, and why you guys waste any breath on it is totally beyond me.
Because you just think the whole thing just is
going to zero?
Going to zero and it's fake?
Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud.
If I just played that snippet, it would be unfair, right? This is all leading to XRP. If I just played that, it would be unfair. He does like blockchain technology, so he could use that to get more money. Listen.
So what do you make then of BlackRock and other firms that are investing in infrastructure?
No, that's different. Blockchain is a technology ledger system that we use to move information. We've used it to do overnight repo, intraday repo. We've used it to move money.
Right.
So that is a ledger. That's a technology ledger type of thing that we think will be deployable.
Now you got to look at what JP Morgan is doing, and that was Jamie Dimon. You got to look what JP Morgan is doing right now. Look at this. JP Morgan moves further into crypto, of course. That was the CEO you just heard, with a stable coin like token JPMD. JPMD. U.S. banking giant JP Morgan is launching its alternative to a stable coin called JPMD. All right. So this is all about tokenization of processing. OK, and so processing, banks make truckloads of money. That's how they make their money off of these fees. Now, if you are in India or Russia or anywhere around the world, I should say that. But anyway, if you are anywhere around the world and you're transacting business with anywhere else in the world, if you're dealing with a U.S. bank, you have to wait until the banks are open for that transaction to get through, for you to get paid. And we're talking about trillions of dollars, okay, of transactions. And you're talking, if there's a holiday like upcoming, like there's going to be a half a day on Thursday and Friday will be off for the 4th. then the bank is closed. You can't do any transactions. Crypto trades 24/7. The blockchain technology is 24/7, stable coins, and it's going to be processed in a fraction of the time. And so that's why this is big for XRP, or JP Morgan is going to come and shut it down. That's what you got to know. Hey, I never told you that this is Larry Jones. This is Stock Up with Larry Jones. Come and join me. Hey, I have communities. I have links below. You want to check it out. We don't overhype. We dig into the facts. Now, let's take a look.
While Bitcoin isn't going away, the hype lately does seem to be shifting somewhat to stablecoins. Just look at shares of issuer Circle up more than 480% from its IPO last month. While even the traditional players like Visa and MasterCard, they have also made some moves on the stablecoin front. And moments ago, Ripple, a stablecoin issuer, says it's applying for a U.S. banking license. Ripple is surging 4.5% today. Our next guest sees stablecoin volumes also surging in the next few years. Caitlin Long is CEO and founder of Custodia Bank. And Caitlin, I don't think I've checked in with you since the Trump administration. Can you bring us up to speed? Did you get the banking license? What's the deal now?
Well, we have a bank charter, but we're still waiting for our clearing account from the Fed. The Fed has been very opposed to all of this technology innovation that is starting to change. And there are now more than 40 applicants for a Fed clearing account waiting. And as you pointed out, others are coming. The stablecoin issuers are getting bank licenses and have declared an intention to apply for the same account that we applied for and have been waiting for more than 5 years, almost 5 years.
So while the administration might be pro-crypto, the Fed still is not.
Yes, the Fed has only granted 2 clearing accounts in the last decade to non-traditional banks. And ironically, or perhaps by design, each one had a former Fed vice chair for supervision associated with it. That's why Custodia is working with Vantage Bank. We issued the first bank-issued stablecoin back in March, working with Vantage, and completed transactions for a Mexican trucking company volleying U.S. dollars back and forth across the border in the span of about 3 minutes, something that would have taken days under the existing technology.
But what does that mean for the future of Bitcoin itself? I'm very curious about this. You know, it's still perceived by many digital gold. Everyone wants a piece of it, apparently public companies too. But do you think that the frenzy for holding Bitcoin will last as long as we've seen it last up until now?
Yeah, great question, Kelly. I look at stablecoins as an on-ramp to Bitcoin because, especially in the developed world, we have a relatively stable banking system and relatively stable currencies. But Bitcoin, frankly, we wouldn't have as much enthusiasm for Bitcoin, wouldn't have had up until this point, if there weren't so much money printing and so much debasement of fiat currency around the world. In the developed world.
Now, I know this is about XRP, but you got to understand what's going on with the entire ecosystem. OK, so there's 2 positive things that could come for XRP. And I'm going to look at the charts really quick later for XRP and all of crypto, and especially Bitcoin and XRP. Let's just do those. Like, let's use a Bitcoin as the Dow, right, or the NASDAQ. So let's talk about this. There's 2 positive catalysts that could make all crypto go, including XRP. And that is the actually passing of the bill, I believe, because that gives more liquidity. There's a lot of liquidity. There's a lot of money in this tax bill. And just like before, when it gets passed, it will find its way to crypto. Bitcoin will move up and XRP will move up and all of the others, right? Now, there is another thing that will happen. If the Fed starts to decrease interest rates, that will further fuel crypto. It happens every time. When the Fed prints money, which there's money in this bill, and when the Fed lowers interest rates, that is a fuel for crypto to do better, actually head north, all right? When the Fed start reducing interest rates. If the Fed absolutely does 3 this year, meaning that he would do 1 this month, which is there's a slim chance, but there is a chance, then crypto will like that and you will see it move. Now, anything I say is not a suggestion for you to buy, hold, or sell. I'm just talking about what Larry would do. Now, let's listen to something about Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin rises, then XRP will rise. All right, let's listen.
Public companies bought more Bitcoin than ETFs did. So will this be a lasting trend, or is it just temporary fad boosting prices? Tanea McKeel wrote that story, and she joins me now. This is fascinating, and I sympathize a little bit. I think it was Scaramucci who said this. He goes, look, if you as the investor want Bitcoin, just buy Bitcoin. Why do you need to buy a company that buys Bitcoin? But anyway, over to you and what trend we're seeing.
Yeah, Kelly. Well, thank you. So we looked at data that shows public companies collectively grew their Bitcoin holdings about 18% in Q2, while Bitcoin balances tied to ETFs showed growth of just 8% in the same period. And as you said, this is the third quarter in a row we've seen Bitcoin buying by corporate treasuries outpacing that of ETFs. And it's, of course, evidence of the regulatory relief that the crypto industry is enjoying under President Trump with his executive order earlier this year to create a Bitcoin reserve. This, basically telling the market Bitcoin is here to stay. Institutional buyers seeking exposure to Bitcoin through ETFs, that's a different game from public companies trying to accumulate in order to increase shareholder value. So these corporate purchases aren't driven by the macro trend or by sentiment.
By lowering rates, the Fed can stimulate economic activity, making it cheaper to borrow. All right. On the other hand, by raising interest rates, the Fed can slow economic activities. Right. So because when he lowers it, it makes it gives more liquidity, and it finds its way to crypto. While the Fed raised 11 times during the last tightening cycle, okay, quantitative tightening, all right, it's easy to spot when markets rally, set up, and took notice that the central bank wasn't kidding, then it was about to, recalibrate monetary policies, okay? It was November of 2021 when crypto and many of the riskiest stocks peaked, all right? There you go, right there, good people. Go back and read that, all right? So when the Fed is tightening, doing monetary tightening, it's not good. When he loosens up, when he starts to lower interest rates, and then there's money printing going on at the same time, that is positive for crypto. Now, let's just take a look at XRP, because that's why you guys are here. Now, look at this. We are to 225. We're up 4.2% right now on the day. Okay. Let's look at the month, though, right? We got to see where we are. We are now up. Remember, we were grossly down, and now we are up over the last 7 days. And so this is real news that is positive for XRP. But if you look at Bitcoin dominance, it has a massive hold, and the altcoins are slow. Okay. So before we look into the charts, I want you guys to stop. There is even sites that look like a Google, which owns this platform, and you get these notifications like I get, like 2 a day, and it's all of this positive news about XRP. Positive. I've gotten at least 50 of them in the last 2 months, 3 months, at least 50 of them. And what happens to XRP? Does not move. Why? It's been the most overhyped crypto this year. Now, if anyone says that I've been hyping XRP, you guys let them have it. As a matter of fact, I've been accused of being an XRP bear, and I'll take that. That's fair, because I wanted to save you guys a lot of money. Let's take a look into the charts. Okay. You can clearly see for months now, right? Since the beginning of 2025, I struck a bright green line right there. Let me bring this down. All right. I struck a bright green line so you guys could clearly see. You leave me a coffee cup if you've heard me say, just buy it under $2. Let's go all the way back, all right, to December 2024, all right, just before the year starts. We could see that it ran all the way up here to 288, right? Back down, boom, we fall beneath $2. Then it mooned all the way up to $3.40, right? Then what happened? Boom, mooned right back down, fall right back down under $2. Okay. Back up 296. Boom, $2. So some of you were just buying all the way up here, but the people that were patient and bought under $2 were the true winners. Okay. And then again, boom, $2. And then again, boom, grossly under $2. And here recently, boom, under $2. And now here we are going back up, right? Let me go to the fixed range tool. And we could see here that it's kind of been trading sideways. Let's just take this range right here recently, okay? Let's just take this range right here recently, and let's just go here. And you could clearly see this is the point of control right here. And so even the point of control is right at 217. I would just say 215. You could see the buying start to really ramp up. The volume is ramping up. And right here at 218 was peak. All right, here at the point of control. Let's call that 217, right? And so me personally, I wouldn't be buying over 215. I would just be patient and wait. Yeah, but what if I miss it, Larry? What if I miss it? I don't want to miss it. Well, you can clearly see that it just keeps doing this. Now, I can't tell you if it's going to, I can't tell you what's going to happen right now. Let's look at the MACD, right? Let's look at the MACD. Let's pull the MACD up. We could see that it's been consolidating right now. It's been compressing, right? You can see that how we had these spikes and then boom, we've been compressed. You can see the MACD. You can see the histogram compressing, right? Look at that. And it's getting smaller and smaller and it's compressing. Yeah, we see the blue line crossing over and it looks like it could be breaking out. Remember, this is the daily. This is more long term, but it's been compressing, right? And we're waiting on something big to happen. And all of these big things that keep happening, nothing ever truly happens. All right. Let's bring in the RSI. All right. Let's bring that in on the daily. All right. Let's do that. All right. We could see remember 30 halfway. If we dip below 30, so we dip below 30. Now it looks like we're coming back up. And what? It could be a decent time to buy, but it was a decent time to buy all of these other times. It was a decent time to buy, right? So why not set a buy order at $2 or beneath? Why not just set one? What do you have to lose? That's all I'm saying, because when we were oversold here, boom, we came all the way back down, back under the 50, should I say, back under 50. Okay. And so that's what all I'm saying is just simplify it. All right. Without going in too deep, just simplify your buys. So you're not like that Deborah Dex commercial. 1 minute you're just yay, that Deborah Dex pleperitis, good news, yays. And then, the guys all over YouTube, XRP to $200, and you guys are yay. And then boom, Bitcoin drops back down below 100. And then what? XRP come down and you're like, uh-oh, like that Deborah Dex commercial, right? First you're partying and then now you're uh-oh. And then soon as it goes back up, you're yay, party time again. And then boom, you get wiped out and you say, oh, it's all fake.
Party's over, folks.
No, you got to just stop and see where is a good buy. Where should I be buying and be patient after I buy? We got the 20, the 50 and the 200, right? They're starting to flare out. You go down to the 30. There we go. We're getting a bigger flare out and we could see the histogram. We're starting to get momentum, right? And then the 15, let's let that load. We can see we're starting to flare out even more. But if you check down here, you could see that the blue is starting to what? We're losing momentum. All right. So we had a spike up to 229, but the histogram is showing that we're losing momentum. What I'm going to say to you guys is this. I'm only telling you what I see. In the past, you could clearly see all we had to do was wait. And unfortunately, it didn't matter how high it went. We just kept coming back down. Boom, 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 boom. And then let's get a little volume in here and just take a look. You can clearly see that all you had to do was wait. Right? So it was descending and so was the volume. And now we're consolidating. You could see that as clear as day. Now, the question is, will it every single time? I get asked this every single time. Hey, will it go back under $2? I don't know. I really don't know. But all I know is that I'm not going to buy up here if I didn't buy down here. The question is, why weren't you buying down here when you're scared? But when it starts to moon again, that's when people pile in and the volume starts to go up. Look at that. Boom. So everybody starts buying here and then, it starts falling. Oh, no, I'm not going to touch it. It's over. It's over. And then it starts going up. You're like that Deborah Dex commercial. Yay. Oh, yay. Oh, and I have to make it this way because at the end of the day, you guys are going to be able to say, at least Larry told us the truth. Look at the big picture. It's not about what little Johnny said on his YouTube video with his 5 subscribers, him saying it's going to be $100, $200, $300. You have itching ears, one or two of you that are listening, and you just want to hear, and you just tune in to people that talk positive about XRP every single day. When the fact of the matter is, you could have just been buying some Bitcoin. All right. And then make enough money on the Bitcoin and then wait for this to go back beneath $2. And then you could have bought some. So I'm talking again as someone that holds XRP. And I have quite a bit of XRP, but I'm not buying it high. I'm not buying it high. As a matter of fact, I still, even though it's at 226 right now, I have buy orders under $2. How about you? Now, let's see what will the reality be about XRP, because I got some bad news. If the SEC don't give them what they're looking for, it's not going to be good for XRP, good people. And so I want people to stop the madness with XRP to $100. It was never going to get to $100 this year. It was never, ever going to happen. It was impossible, right? So the good news is that if they get into the banking processing business and be one of the main use, that will be its main use case, that could be huge for XRP and nothing else. It's not about the case anymore. That's all. That's been priced in. That was priced in a year ago. It's not about any of this overhyped garbage that they keep pumping and dumping with you guys with. Okay. So I'm going to leave it right there. Good people. Listen, I'm telling you that Larry, I can't tell you what to do. I'm telling you that Larry is not flying free with anything. All right. At one time, I had $72,000 worth of XRP before my stop loss triggered in profit and it went down. And I'm telling you guys, if you don't know how to set a stop loss with your crypto, you're on the wrong broker. OK, or you need to stop buying and start studying. There's many of videos out there to show you how to set a stop limit order on your crypto. Why not use the tools so you can protect your money from you? Okay, let me know in the comments, what do you think crypto, or should I say XRP, realistically is going to hit by the end of this year? I'm interested to see and to hear. Please. And then if you don't know anything about crypto, if you got more than $1,000 in crypto, if you got $10, $20, $30,000 in the crypto and you really don't understand it, then I want you to look at Stock Up You. The link will be below. Take my crypto course, learn everything you need to learn now on the front end, and stop yourself from wasting thousands of dollars chasing hype and wasting time. My name is Larry Jones. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. There's a lot of good news in this video if you really just listen, but I have to serve it to you measured and not overhyped. We'll see you later. Live, love, laugh, and learn.